Popularity in Fallout is higher than ever thanks to the TV series, and without a doubt it will bring in a bunch of new players as well as returning players who get that itch to play some Fallout. Originally I wanted to make a video on what Fallout game would be best for a new player to play, but I ended up getting hooked on Fallout 4. I wasn't just playing a brand new playthrough though, I was playing survival mode. I've tried it a few times over the years for a few hours, but I never stick with it. But after 30 hours, I believe survival mode is the best way to play Fallout 4. It offers a unique experience that you won't get in the other difficulties. So I want to share with you my experience and reasons to give survival mode a go. So the first thing I want to talk about is your stats and perks, because survival mode has an increase in difficulty. You will deal the same amount of damage on hard but take twice as much compared to it, so it's absolutely vital you know your playstyle and how you want to roleplay. For example, if you're someone who uses VATS a lot, you are going to want to have a lot of points in agility to increase the amount of action points that can be used, and you'll also want luck to increase the recharge of your critical hit meter as well as the perks within those categories. Perks such as Gunfu, which inflicts 25% more damage to your second enemy and beyond in VATS, and Critical Banker, which will let you save more critical hits with each rank. In my case, I wanted to be able to craft and upgrade my weapons and gain a lot more XP, so I started with high intelligence. I wanted to use the robotics expert so I could customize my companion's fighting style. When it came to combat, I wanted to play stealthily, so I put some points in agility so I could use the sneak perk, which lowers the chance of detection while sneaking, and I put enough points into perception to get the rifleman perk, which will increase the damage with non-automatic rifles, and at later levels it ignores a percentage of the enemy's armor. I never planned to use power armor, but with the nuclear physicist perk was just 1 point after the robotics expert perk, and I got this sick looking XO2 power armor. How could I not use it? So now I'm a veteran stealthy power armor sniper scientist if we're talking about roleplaying. The next reason to play survival mode is that it makes you pay attention to every little detail and engage with every system that Fallout 4 has to offer, which makes the game a lot more immersive and grounded. A significant amount of planning has to be done before you even step foot outside of your settlement. Fast travel is disabled in survival, so you are forced to travel around the Commonwealth on foot and engage with the inhabitants there. I've seen things that I've never come across before, and this game is almost 9 years old. I have found notes which led to a unique item or a stash of goods. I came across a group of dead gunners, right, and one of them was called Art, and moments ago I literally just passed someone called Art. I needed to know if he was a synth or not, so I killed him, and I found a synth component on him, and this makes the threat of the Institute a little bit more real. I came across some raiders who were trying to charge me and some random farmers 500 caps to cross a bridge, so I lit them up, and I've missed content like this thanks to fast travel. There is still ways to get around the world quickly in the later game. If you side with the Brotherhood, you will get access to Vertibird signal grenades where you can summon a Vertibird to pick you up, and you can select a location on your Pip-Boy and they will take you there. If you side with the Institute, you will have access to the teleporter where you can instantly teleport back to the Institute, which can be handy when you've finished a particular run or mission. As well as no fast travel, you cannot save manually. You can only save when you sleep in a bed or a sleeping bag. Tougher enemies will spawn more frequently than a regular playthrough, and they deal more damage, so you need to be aware of where you could be attacked. If you see a group of enemies and you're not prepared to fight them, avoid them. You don't want to risk dying and losing all your progress. No fast travel, no manual saves, and tougher enemies means you have to plan for your travels as well as which route to go. I made sure that I avoided Lexington and Corvega in the first few hours, as I knew I would more than likely be overwhelmed by the sheer number of raiders there. When I first tried survival mode, I used to do my mission wherever it may be and try to immediately return to Sanctuary to save my progress, and not really think about my travel and where I was going, and this often didn't work because I would end up dying and losing tons of progress. Now, I know if I'm heading south, stop at Diamond City and rent a room in a dugout inn and sleep there, so if anything goes wrong I have a closer save point. I'll go to my mission, and once I'm done I'll visit Diamond City and stay at the dugout inn again. And I use a lot of locations like this, especially settlements. If I go east, I can stay at the Covenant where I accidentally murdered everyone. If I end up really desperate, sleep at a cleared out location in a sleeping bag for 3 hours. There is a risk of contracting an illness when you do this, but if you have prepared well, you should be able to cope with any illness debuff or clear it entirely. The lack of a manual save is no longer a problem. I would avoid travelling through the cities where possible though, because it's too chaotic. There are so many different enemies and factions around every corner and you end up in constant firefights. This type of planning is completely absent in a standard playthrough because you have access to all the things that makes the game easier. You don't really need to engage with the world, and that's a shame because Fallout 4's strength is its world, gameplay and survival elements. In a standard playthrough, you can sleep in a bed to get the well rested perk, but it's not a necessity. Carry weight is no longer a problem either, as you can fast travel to drop items off and quickly return. You can also avoid combat and miss out on some really neat encounters. You have the luxury of saving the game just before it's about to get tough, so there isn't any consequences that comes from dying. When I first got the XO2 power armor, the Enclave sent a hit squad after me, and one of them was in the Hellcat power armor using an incinerator that was shooting fireballs, and I was actually scared because if I died, I would have lost so much progress. The Wasteland should make you feel like there is death around every corner and make you fear it. It makes combat tense as you have a consequence for dying. There is also a consequence for not reviving your companion if they faint. They will return to your settlement, which can be a major pain. If you needed them to provide help during combat, they are required for the mission or to carry more items. All this really sets the tone of the world. After a few hours in the Commonwealth, your player will become fatigued, and this will reduce your action points, and to clear the reduction, your player will need to go to sleep or drink a Nuka-Cola. There is also the addition of the adrenaline perk, which will increase a damage modifier the longer you stay awake and kill enemies. This resets when you go to sleep, so now there is a risk-reward element with your choices. The longer you're awake, the more chances you have to kill, which increases your damage, but if you die, you will revert back to the last save, which means you could lose a significant amount of progress. It's not something I consider with my character, as I feel that this perk is just a bonus and not something to be relied on. The settlement system is such a great addition to Fallout 4. I understand why people don't like it, but I think it's a great addition for adding to the survival elements of the game. If you side with the Minutemen, it gives you a chance to try and rebuild society through the settlements. You can build shops, supply lines and various other things to make a better life for settlers, and it conveys the overall message that I believe Fallout 4 was going for, which is there is still hope even when everything has gone to shit. It's also really great for generating resources that you need. You have to maintain your hunger and thirst, so one of the first things I built was an industrial water purifier which generated purified water for me and stored it in the workshop. Water is definitely the most important resource. When consuming chems or when you use a stim pack or right away, you become thirsty. So every time you take significant damage, you will need to drink to remove the debuffs that come with being thirsty. It will also help by recovering more HP, but the recovery speed is significantly slower in survival mode. So if you need to heal, you need to remain hidden for a while until you've recovered a bit. Food is less of a problem as there is a lot of things in the world that you will kill and cook and eat. I built a farm to generate different veggies just in case I wanted to create a meal with specific buffs, as these can come in handy. I also built 2 cages so I could try to attract a radstag and Brahmin. The radstag was so that I could make grilled radstag, which will increase my carry weight by 25 pounds. This is super helpful when you need that extra bit of carry weight when you are on a resource run or a mission. Just be careful though, because you do not know what type of radstag you might capture. I almost died doing this and lost all my progress just doing various things around Sanctuary. The cages wasn't the best idea, as it takes about a week for you to be able to capture an animal, and this is too long for one piece of radstag meat. The Brahmin was so I could try to farm fertilizer. They will remain at your settlement if you build a feeding trough. If you don't find one now, you can buy one from a wandering NPC named Kelly. Fertilizer can be used to make bullets if you have the Contraptions Workshop DLC. To begin with, I was making 308 rounds, but all I needed to make 45 rounds was steel and fertilizer. But the return wasn't the best though, as I was only getting a few fertilizer here and there, but it's better than nothing. The only reason any food got cooked in a standard playthrough is because it was another way to recover HP so you could save your stim packs. I didn't really care about the buffs they gave me because carry weight would be less of an issue as I could fast travel if I needed to. Managing your food and hunger has you engaging in building and gathering resources and caring a bit more about the items you pick up. Ammo and stim packs have a weight now, so you can't just bring them all with you. I usually limit myself to 2 to 3 guns to use in different scenarios and carry sufficient ammo for each one. Stim packs and radaway can cause so many problems for you, so it's best to avoid as much damage and radiation damage as possible. As I mentioned earlier, using stim packs makes you thirsty, which will give you a debuff so you end up consuming more water. Gaining rads has a new set of problems now, as if you use a radaway it will increase your chances of becoming ill. Becoming ill can cause various debuffs depending on what you get, like insomnia means you will require more sleep, or illness means you will take periodic damage. You can cure any illness with antibiotics, and you will find these around the world, usually in medical containers or chem boxes. I avoid using radaway by building the decontamination arch at my settlement, which will clear my rads without increasing my chance of sickness, so I think it's vital that you build one. I found another way to heal myself as well by modding Ada's torso so she has a regeneration field, so when I'm not in combat I can stand next to her and heal all my HP. So I have another reason to protect my companion now. So to summarise, survival mode is a unique experience which cannot be found across any of the Fallout games. There are a lot of systems and resources that you don't have to use or pay attention to in a regular playthrough, but they become absolutely essential in survival mode, giving you more things to do within the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is so much more dangerous with tougher enemies lurking around every corner, and with consequences for dying, this makes combat a lot more tense and thrilling. This leads to you preparing and planning before you leave the safety of your settlements, as you need resources to survive. And all this really sets the tone of the world that was plunged into hell due to nuclear devastation, which makes the game so much more immersive and grounded. And right now I am addicted to it, and I can't wait to jump back in to see what my progress will look like in another 30 hours. I'm now going to move my settlement to the Covenant where I can reach different areas of the map quicker. Honestly, it wasn't my fault, it was Ada. Without a doubt, survival mode is the best way to play Fallout 4. Now, what do you think of survival mode? Are you going to give it a try? Or do you have a different point of view on this mode? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like. For more content on RPG games, please subscribe. My name is Gemma and I will see you in the next one.